A radical proposal's being hatched. 7:30 has learned of plans for Australia's first so-called ice room, a medically supervised facility that ice smokers can use to get high. Reporter Andy Parker said the proposal's key backers who say they'll risk arrest to see an ice room established.
The point where I knew I was addicted was obviously wanting it every day, going to work and obviously being high on ice. I lied to my family pretty much through my whole ice addiction, and once they virtually found out why I looked so bad and stuff, they were very broken that they found out I was actually on the ice.
Cameron Beale is halfway through his court-ordered rehab at 180 TC, a faith-based rehab centre in Sydney's west.
To grasp the concept of.
How many of you used ice in your addiction?
Yeah. So it becomes a point where your brain's just fried.
In this program here, the men come in from all walks of life. Age specific, 18 to 35, are probably the largest in Western Sydney, hands down.
Oh, did you get x-rayed? Yeah, I got an x-ray today.
Here, the philosophy is strict and total abstinence.
Well, the only way into recovery for us is to be detoxed and to start having those chemicals out of your system.
One of Australia's most respected drug experts, Dr. Alex Wodak, has come to the Swiss city of Bern to visit the world's first drug consumption room set up here 30 years ago.
Okay, welcome to the centre. You know,
He believes there's a better way to get people into treatment by allowing them to keep smoking.
A big population of people started smoking from the hip-hop scene and from the techno scene. They said, we are not junkies, we don't shoot. Like this is chasing the dragon. Exactly.
The rise of hard drug smoking is being fought here using a new annex to the city's supervised drug injection room, a radical approach which Dr. Wodak hopes to export back to Australia.
This is the injection room. Then we have 6 places to inject, and this is the inhalation room. So we got glasses, we got the income, and we got the big air-conditioned system.
We are set in the 1980s way of thinking, and the rest of the world is moving on. We need inhalation rooms in Australia for the same reason that the Europeans do, and that is that people are shifting from injecting drugs in Australia to injecting, but also now inhaling.
In the German city of Frankfurt, the inhalation room is at capacity today, with clients smoking cocaine and heroin under supervision.
Walking into those drug consumption rooms in Europe, I felt that what I had previously thought was a radical idea was actually commonplace. So it felt to me that when we got back here, we had to begin immediately.
That's okay.
Dr. Wodak's partner in the plan for Australia's first ice room is Matt Knopfs. They are now actively looking at ways of providing the same facility here, starting with a way to clean toxic air.
Is it going to take 2 years, 5 years, 10 years to deliver the product, or are we going to be able to get this year?
No. You know, the time to actually manufacture fans and filtration systems is really in terms of weeks and not months. So
the idea is not without support amongst the police community.
There's a wide recognition amongst law enforcement colleagues, including young officers as well as more experienced ones, that the current arrangements we have in place aren't achieving the end like to achieve, that in many ways it's badly broken.
Today, Matt Knopfs is taking the case directly to police officials from around the country.
We need police on side.
His book, Breaking the Ice, outlines just how an ice inhalation room would work.
I think Western Sydney is definitely a place, like Liverpool, would be a really important place for one of these centres.
But residents in Liverpool are so far unconvinced.
Having an ice room in Liverpool is going to project an image of Liverpool is the drug capital of the southwest. We don't want that sort of image.
All the medical evidence that I understand of the research evidence is that less than something like 20-23% of people who take crystal methamphetamines have psychosis episodes. Not all of those are violent.
The King's Cross injection room has already been supervising ice users who inject.
Over the last 10 years, we have had a steady proportion between 10 and 20% of people using methamphetamine by injection, and yet the staff have never encountered a single episode of sustained violence or aggression that they can't simply talk down.
The overseas experience has not come without violence, or at least the need for ways to cope with it.
Is it a big problem or a small problem?
It is a problem. I won't say it is a big problem, but we have people who are not allowed to come here again because of violence.
Matt and I have...
The New South Wales government told 7:30 that they won't back any plans for an ice inhalation room.
People struggling with ice.
If we don't get permission and the community knows that we have the evidence to do this, we're going to do it anyway.
Even if you get arrested?
We'd much prefer it if the authorities would give us permission to do that. If they don't, we would still like to go ahead.
The challenge might be getting users to take to the idea in the first place.
No, I wouldn't use a service like that at all. If anything, I'd be hidden away smoking it in my own little place, you know what I mean, away from everybody.
Could be anywhere in the country in relapse. They're not going to say, oh, I'll put my hand up, I'm going to travel to Sydney now and go to that medically supervised place so I can smoke ice. That's never going to happen. That's a furphy.
We should keep them inhaling if they're going to continue to use the drug, as opposed to letting them shift to injecting.
You realise a lot of Australians might go, you want to keep kids inhaling ice? That's a very controversial idea.
First task, of course, is to help someone away from a dependency. Of course, always. But to be realistic, if we know that someone's going to continue to be dependent on a drug, you would absolutely rather them inhale than inject.